The Sabres are 2-1, but how good do they look? Find out how I grade them coming up. What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video of Sports Talk Buffalo. Before we go any further, I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I talk Bills, Sabres, and UB Bulls men's basketball and football right here on this page. Also, remember to check out some cool merch. The link is in the description below. The Buffalo Sabres sit at 2-1 after their first 3 games, with their lone loss coming against the Florida Panthers 4-3 in a very good game for the Buffalo Sabres, a game in which they definitely had opportunities to tie and or win that game. However, the Florida Panthers were able to make the plays that the Sabres could not and ended up coming out with the victory. So the question remains, how do you grade out the Sabres so far after their first 3 games this season? Let's start with the forwards. I have the forwards graded as a C+ so far in 3 games this season. And my reason for that is while the Sabres are averaging 29 shots on goal per game through the first 3 games, they're also giving up over 40 shots a game, which to me means they're not generating enough shots and scoring chances against opposing teams through their first few games of the season. It also means that they're not spending enough time in the offensive zone in order to create these shot attempts and to create these shots on goals and offensive scoring chances that other teams are getting against the Buffalo Sabres. Offensive zone time is a big thing for the Sabres because it means that they're not spending enough time in the offensive zone, which means the opponent is spending too much time in their zone, creating more chances. And this is something that is not sustainable if the Sabres want to continue to win games. They have to put more pressure on opposing teams and be able to really sustain this pressure moving forward if they want the ability to continue the success they've had to start this season. The Sabres are, however, on the opposite side, capitalizing on the few opportunities that they are getting. They're averaging 3.66 goals per game over the course of these first 3 games. And some of the notable forwards for the Buffalo Sabres have been Alex Tuch, who has 2 goals and 1 assist through the first 3 games. He has been absolutely flying around. He is jumping off of the screen every single game you watch him play. He has been very, very dominant for this Sabres team. He is leading by example. It didn't matter if he was on the first line or the second line. He is playing like a man possessed so far this year, and a man who desperately wants to get the Sabres out of the cellar of the NHL and back into the playoffs for the first time in a very, very long time. Another forward that jumps off of the screen to me is rookie J.J. Peterka, who also has 3 points so far, 2 goals and an assist. He has been an absolutely incredible so far this year, and I don't think many people seen that coming. I thought he would be pretty good, but I didn't see him performing at the level that he's performing at so far. He has been on an absolute tear so far this season. He has been simply incredible through the first 4 games, and his performance also has been jumping off of the screen for the Buffalo Sabres. Now, some forwards that I would like to see more from are, of course, guys like Tage Thompson, who in this past game, he had an insanely good goal in which he dangles around a defender, brings it backhand to forehand on the goaltender, and tucks it into the net. Incredible play by Tage Thompson, and hopefully that gives him more confidence moving forward to be the dominant player that the Sabres signed him to a big contract to be as the season moves along. Another player that you could say the same thing for is Jeff Skinner. Guys like Skinner and Olofsson and Middlestat have been more or less non-existent outside of a couple of plays here or there through the first 3 games. And if Buffalo wants to continue the success that they have had through these first few games. They are going to need major contributions from all of these players as the season progresses forward. So hopefully they can get out of any little ruts that they are feeling so far, any lacks of confidence moving forward, so that they can continue, so that they can be major contributors for this Sabres team. Now let's jump over to the defense. I think the defense, in my opinion, grades out to a B minus. The defense has been pretty respectable so far in this season, as they have all started with a +1 rating or higher, all except for defenseman Jacob Bryson, who is currently right now a -1. However, the defense is giving up a few too many odd man rushes and breakaways for my liking, something that 100% needs to be cleaned up as the season moves forward. If not for the goaltenders, this could be a much, much different season for this Sabres team. Now, the standouts on defense, of course, have been Rasmus Dahlin, who has continued his hot play to end last year right into this year. He's been on a tear to start this season. He has 3 goals and an assist for 4 points in the first 3 games this season. He has looked great in the offensive and defensive zones. He has been probably the Sabres' best. He's easily been the Sabres' best defenseman so far this year, and hopefully he can continue this level of play throughout the entire year. Another person that has stood out to me in these 3 games is recent signing Ilya Lyubushkin. Lyubushkin has been quietly a very good third-pair defenseman, and he has been the physical presence that this Sabres team lacked all season last year on the back end. He has been really making his presence felt, especially in the game against Edmonton, where he buried Leon Draisaitl and also had a big open ice check. And then he ended up getting a penalty because he got into a little bit of a wrestling match with one of the Edmonton players. However, that is the type of physicality that the Sabres need to wear down opponents as the season moves forward. And hopefully, after taking a shot, he left the game this past game against Edmonton. Hopefully, he's not out for a long time because, again, he has been very, very solid through these first few games for the Sabres, and he has been a very welcomed physical addition for the Sabres back end. Now we move on to the goaltenders, which has been easily their best position on the ice so far this year. I graded them an A+. They have been an A+ because in the first start, Craig Anderson was incredible, giving up just 1 goal against the Ottawa Senators. He also made several big saves in their opening game against Ottawa, a game in which the Sabres ended up winning by multiple goals in that game. I believe they won 4-1. They had 2 empty net goals in that game. He was lights out in that game, stopping 35 of 36 shots in that game. And also, Eric Comrie, these last 2 games, has been as advertised. You want him to continue this high-level play. He has looked like an absolutely incredible signing so far these first few games for the Buffalo Sabres. He kept them in the game against the Florida Panthers, and he was lights out, much the same way Craig Anderson was in the first game against the Edmonton Oilers, a game that saw Comrie stop 46 of 48 shots. He was outstanding, and he stole 2 points for the Buffalo Sabres, something that we have not been able to say in at least the last few years, that our goaltending has stole a game for us to start the road trip, a very good way to start the road trip for these Buffalo Sabres. Again, I graded them an A+ because combined they have a .942 save percentage in these 3 games. They have been amazing. And while their play is likely to decline a pretty substantial amount, I hope that they can maintain a level high enough so that we can see them continue to play and give the Sabres an opportunity to win every single night. Because again, with this young Sabres group, they're going to need strong goaltending on the back end to cover up for some of those mistakes and those young mistakes that you're going to make when you're such a young team. Those 2-on-1s, those odd man rushes, those breakaways that the Sabres are giving up so far this season. Again, hopefully they can clean that up. But if they don't, the stellar goaltending so far is what's been the MVP so far of this Sabres season, this young Sabres season, and what has gotten them to 2-1 so far. Overall, I believe the Sabres grade out to a B+, which of course is pretty respectable. It's what 2-1 should look like, a B+, or roughly an 87 overall. The Buffalo Sabres, again, they could be a lot better, but they could be a lot worse. So right now they're playing a very exciting brand of hockey. They are in every single game. They have won 2 out of the 3, and the game they lost, they were in that game also. I think this is kind of what we're going to see pretty much all season long for Buffalo. The trick for them is going to be they have to continue to cash in on their opportunities, be opportunistic, and make sure that they are helping out their goaltender on the back end so that they can continue to win these close games as the season progresses. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I try to answer every single comment on my videos. I love interacting with you guys. So again, make sure you comment in the comment section below how you think each group has done for this Buffalo Sabres team. Again, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Catch you next time.